Hello and welcome to the Redbrick Sport podcast. This week is an FA Cup week, so we've got lots to talk about. And we've got a new guest on top of many of the old normal guests who I can't be bothered to introduce. His name's Dougie. Hi, Dougie.
Hi.
Who are you a fan of?
Don't want to admit this at the moment, but I support Leeds United.
All right, so we'll have some fun with that later. But first, Nancy, hello Nancy,
Hi.
has got a quiz for us. Do you want to take that away?
My quizzes suggest more than one question, but it is just one. Which Premier League striker had a scholarship for Harvard, but he turned it down? I knew you'd know this.
I know the answer.
I know the answer as well.
Is it Patrick Bamford?
It is indeed Patrick Bamford.
Yeah.
So that was not a very good quiz at all. Because you knew the answer.
I won't participate next time, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Was it the right decision? That's the real question.
That is the real question.
Probably,
I would
yes.
suggest
Probably, yeah.
no.
No?
Unless he goes back to Middlesbrough, maybe.
Yeah? All right. I'm going to start, rather than with a game, I'm going to start with whether or not we think the FA Cup is dying. Because we've had a lot of weakened teams played this weekend, and that's brought about some good results and some cup magic. But is that diluted by the fact that the big teams, and even now championship teams, are fielding youngsters?
I say yes, slightly. I don't really like... I was saying to Harry at the weekend, it sounds weird to say, but I much rather would have watched Premier League football. And when the FA Cup's on, I just get a bit annoyed. I'm just I'm not actually going to enjoy any of the games. Even if there's an upset, I watch it and I'm just
more so than international.
FA Cup is FA Cup's halfway between my enjoyment of international matches and Premier League matches.
Okay,
so it's halfway between. So
I see.
Premier League is 100%, FA Cup's 50%.
And international 0%.
Zero. Yeah. just don't watch games.
Affects the consistency of the domestic schedule.
Yeah. It just gets on my nerves. I don't really know why. It sounds a very cynical point of view to have. I'm just only in favour of big teams winning matches and whatever. But I honestly prefer small teams beating big teams more in the Premier League than I do in the Cup. I just don't really games like Man United Wigan being on TV and we all know the way that game's going to go. Just announce a scoreline and then
what Liverpool?
Just predict a scoreline that's based on stats and then just announce it.
If you're referring to the abnormal amount of upsets this weekend, many papers are saying, with regards to the final result, does not have an asterisk that Sutton beat Leeds United's under-23s, does not have an asterisk that Oxford beat Newcastle second string, does not have an asterisk that Lincoln beat Brighton's reserves. Mm-hmm. So does that take the value out of the result, or does playing a weakened team give value to the FA Cup because it gives these teams a chance of progressing to the later stages due to other distractions going on?
I guess I'm this is the first time for 80 years or whatever it is that there's two non-league sides in the last 16, but I think it does devalue it slightly when it's a full team of youth. I think it was Alan Shearer, who's not one of my favourite pundits, but you could tell he was really frustrated with the amount of changes. Now, I'm all for giving kids a chance, and I want to see it. I want to see it more as a United fan myself. But there's a level where you should bring them in and integrate them with squads that are 6 players that want to play. Let's say you bring in 5 youth players. Bring them in with 6 of your main players rather than six reserve players and 5 youth team players. It doesn't work, and that's why these teams have just caved in.
The Football League Trophy has a rule like that, though, and nobody likes that rule. In fact, teams deliberately flout it regularly.
Yeah, they don't play the main players, though. They as you say, the match pass. And to be honest, that competition is...
Yeah, there's a big difference.
Come on.
FA Cup.
The FA Cup's steeped in tradition, and they should be taken... I don't understand why it's not taken seriously to some extent. If you've already given up on the League Cup, at least prioritise one of the cup competitions. But so many of the teams have just completely abandoned the idea. And I guess that's the monetary value of it, is that they're not going to get much in comparison to staying in the Premier League or just getting a better position in the Premier League, in fact.
Yeah, because you could argue that losing the game completely counteracts the positives of giving them the game. Because how do you think they're going to feel when they're losing to Wolves or losing to Sutton? It's not going to make them feel that pride in wearing the first team shirt.
It works both ways, really, in that with regards to Leeds have a very small squad at the moment, I can tell you, as I watch them regularly. Therefore, we can't really afford to stretch resources. Playing a stronger team in the last round led to suspensions which cost us a league result, arguably. Therefore, we have the interest in Wednesday night's game, we have longer term interest in trying to go up, and ultimately £120 million to get into the Premier League, £3.5 million for a cup run.
I think, Leeds I totally understand, because you just said it, 120 million. But
Same with Newcastle and Brighton.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you got to come up with different ideas. As you just said, one idea you can come up with is that suspensions, yellow cards, don't count towards the league. You have to be suspended for your next FA Cup game, not for the league games, because otherwise, why would you risk your main players in an FA Cup match that you're not really bothered about? That's one suggestion. And you've got better monetary success for getting through to the next round rather than being televised. As everyone's aware, United matches get televised every time, and Sutton,
wasn't
Lincoln,
TV?
and they didn't get the money. So really, there should be more money. I think they're planning on doing that in the next 3 years. I think it was that you get more money for getting through the rounds than you will do for being on TV, which is the way it should be. But there are certain ways that we can make the FA Cup. You can revive it. I don't think it's dead, but as of now, it does slightly devalue the big shock when really the shock's not really
On
there.
that string of argument, then, what other ways can you make the FA Cup a viable competition from the bigger teams to have an incentive to play in? Because one thing that's been thrown around is the idea of a Champions League place for the winner. Does anyone have any opinions on that?
Well, wouldn't you have to sort of universalise that in Europe as well? So, because it'd be completely unfair to allow the biggest cup competition winner in one country a Champions League place, and then say to like Germany, Spain, Italy, France, that you're not afforded the same luxury. I'd also say it's just, maybe, but I don't think it's relevant really.
It's also completely impractical, because the most recent example here is take Wigan in 2013.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Would they have done anything in the Champions League?
Well,
The
maybe
answer
if they
is
go
probably
through to a
no.
qualifier.
Yeah,
They were also in the
Yeah,
Champions
Birmingham
League.
got through to the Europa League.
Yeah, that was the League Cup.
Yeah, when they won the League Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, runners-up get a place in the
Europa League, yeah.
They don't do that.
I'll
Not
tell you-
don't do
anymore.
that at the FA Cup
Yeah.
anymore.
I'll
do
tell
they?
you what
No.
Wigan did.
varying rules regarding whether the winners get in the Champions League or not, or otherwise the winners, runners-up will get a Europa League place.
I'll let you know what Wigan did in that European Cup. 0-0 away at Ruben Kazan. That was the highlight of our European adventures.
I
They're
think
okay.
Not
A
bad
fine
at all.
result.
they did
There
relatively
you go.
okay in the group stage
Yeah.
and getting third, but
Yeah,
also the fixture congestion affected them as well, because they reached the playoffs that year.
yeah.
And if you take
It
Europe
wasn't-
out of it,
It was a negative thing, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, one other extreme thing that I could suggest would be to scrap the League Cup completely. Now, I know, considering we've got a United fan and a Southampton fan, and we're both in the final here, it's quite extreme. But it's only been 50 years. It's not exactly the most traditional of all the competitions, and it's just an added domestic competition that teams don't need, especially ones from the lower league, some from League One and League Two, because they've got League Cup, FA Cup, their own league, and the Johnson Paint Trophy, or
It's always
whatever it's called now.
Checker
It's
Trade
just Checker Trade Trophy. That's the one. It's kind of like League Cup. I mean, obviously want to win it, and it's another competition for us to win, and it's nice, but if you just have one single domestic trophy to focus on, i.e. the FA Cup, then teams might take it a bit more seriously.
But I think if you come from a position of someone who supports like a League Two club, they would completely disagree with that. I could understand you having that view as a United fan,
Bradford
because you're in the final every year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just about it creates like loads of fixtures added to the domestics. It's more about them getting to play the big teams.
It's another chance of playing big
obviously
teams.
you're a United fan. You can't play a bigger team, really, can you?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay.
Bradford City beat a Premier League club in a two-legged tie. I mean, that shouldn't happen. Therefore, everyone likes the story of that.
Yeah, no.
You're referring now to Villa, but
That
they
couldn't
also
even
beat
happen
Arsenal
in
as
the
well.
FA
I'll point out they beat Arsenal as well. And that as well.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
On penalties.
Yes.
All
I
right.
don't want to think about that.
Well, let's look at a bit of the magic of the cup that remains then. The two non-league sides who made it to last 16 are Lincoln, who beat Brighton Hove Albion 3-1 at home, and they're into the last 16 for the first time since 1887. And Sutton United, who beat your Leeds 1-0, and this is their first ever time in the last 16. So obviously it means a huge deal to those fans. Can you give us sort of your thoughts on what it means to a Leeds fan seeing your second team lose to a non-league team?
Well, a lot of fans are incredibly frustrated. We come out of that fixture with utterly zero credit whatsoever, barring the exception of Malik Wilkes, but that is a different story. And ultimately, yes, we're angry, because if you look at the sides left in the competition, there's a chance of a decent draw, get to quarters, maybe semis, and also... Sorry, I had a point here. So, yeah, we've thrown away a chance at a decent cup run over a fixture that arguably, if we'd given an effort to, then we should have won, and there's no reason we can't have a cup run on top of our league form. The other side of that coin is that in a previous round, the suspension cost us in a league fixture, and we don't have a very large squad. Therefore, many pragmatic Leeds fans, we've been playing better football this year than in the previous 5 combined. Therefore, we accept the bigger picture, and if we get a positive result on Wednesday or on Sunday in a very big derby match, then maybe the manager can argue the case that he's justified his selection.
Yeah.
So, whilst incredibly frustrating, Leeds fans, Brighton fans and Newcastle fans are all looking at the bigger picture of we all want to be in the Premier League next season.
Yeah, and I think it's that duality of thought that makes this such a difficult debate, because you have teams like Tottenham who made 9 changes, I think it was, their starting 11, and only just made it past Wickham. But let's talk about that game, because it was a fairly good game at the same time as not being a very good game. Dele Alli scored his first FA Cup goal since November 2012, which is when he played for MK Dons. And Janssen can still only score penalties.
It's still a skill if you ask Fulham fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Tottenham basically started without any of their main players and then brought them on to win. Is that the way that you think most Premier League clubs could go about it?
Well, it shouldn't be. The whole thing with the FA Cup debate and resting players is based on the premise that resting players is good because it gives them, like, you know, time to relax, like mentally or whatever. But I always remember Gary Neville saying, you know, when United won the treble in 1999, and like when United were really successful like in the mid-2000s, he said that the cup runs and doing well in Champions League helped them with the league form. You know, and I don't really buy the excuse with players needing rest, especially physically, with the amount of, you know, resources clubs have. So if there's a problem with that premise, then surely there's a problem with the whole thing in regards to resting players.
There is also a case that essentially clubs have academies, and you need to try and test these academy players out in real life situations, because there's only so much the under-23 leagues can gain, or going out on loan can gain. So if you put these kids in a situation, should they be good enough to beat a League 2 standard team? Probably, possibly. That's where the argument is. But again, you've got to try and find ways of finding out about them, and that is also what the cup competitions do. So again, the manager could argue that he's not trying to weaken his team, he's trying to long-term vision.
Yeah. I still think if you want to give them the chance, it's so much better to give 5 or 6 in the chance rather than 8 or 9. 8 or 9 changes is so excessive. Yes, they might have all played together, but not in this competitive format. They've not all played against a non-league side in FA Cup tie. Other players that play first-team football for Leeds will have had experience of playing these sort of fixtures. Play 3 or 4 of them, help them integrate into the squad rather than just sticking them all in. And I watched Sutton Leeds. It just looked like there was an effort there, but it was like didn't really know what to do.
They never got out of their own heart.
Yeah, but I didn't think they were awful. They passed it around, you know, contently. It was all right, but there was nothing inspirational. There was nothing that you thought they're going to go equalise, they're going to score here. And I just think it'd be so much better for the young players to actually integrate them in with first teamers.
Captain, experienced player, played in the Championship last 2-3 years, gets himself sent off. goalkeeper, experienced player, also played in the Championship last 2-3 years, put in man of the match performances in very good sides. Completely at fault for giving away the penalty. So, you want to criticise the youngsters. There were 2 senior players in the team, and they're the ones responsible for us not being there.
And the interesting contrast there, of course, is that Sutton United's captain scored the winning penalty. So Tottenham managed to scrape through despite their changes. But a team who didn't was Liverpool, whose January form has just fallen off a cliff. They lost at Anfield again. So it's just the third time in like a week.
Third time in a row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Records soon to be broken.
Yeah.
Swansea, Southampton, Wolves, 3 different competitions.
Yeah.
Klopp says that's fine. Says it's better than if you lose 3 games in one competition. It's worse than losing 3 games in 3 different competitions.
I mean,
A very weird statement, really.
Yeah, it's coming across a bit Brendan Rodgers for me. A bit like he's losing his mind slowly.
So this is obviously the example of what happens when you make the changes and it doesn't pay off. But interestingly, Liverpool's last 3 FA Cup defeats at Anfield have all been to second-tier sides, the others being Barnsley and Reading. So they have a bit of a history of it. But what I want to talk about is why Liverpool's form after Christmas has been so bad. Does anyone have any ideas?
As much as people don't like the tiredness argument in the modern day, which is regularly trotted out, it was noted in the media long before the time that Liverpool had a slightly more intense Christmas schedule than they do. And if you look at Spurs' habits, say in April and May over the last few seasons, Spurs have tended to fall off a cliff playing a similar style of football. So there could be an element in the style of football and the way they're training that when the legs get slightly heavier, that it becomes a bit harder. But the counter-argument to that is Liverpool have no European football this year. Saturday should not be a difficult job.
It might also be a reflection on Jurgen Klopp as well, because his style is suited to a league that has a winter break, and the Premier League does not have a winter break. So this intense style of play and training sessions and stuff will eventually, physically, impact on the players.
But why? That's the it doesn't sort of accumulate over a season. Like when you recover to 100%. It's not like you have 1 year and you slowly recover less. So I just will never buy that physical argument.
What about the mental aspect?
See, mental I can understand kind of, especially with losing Coutinho as well, losing their best player.
Mane.
So.
Yeah, Mane
returns though, but he's going to be mentally drained after
Didn't he miss
the decisive penalty.
Yeah.
They have the player yet to play him tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That won't work.
Yeah, so he missed the crucial penalty.
Yeah, he has.
As well.
Yeah. Yeah, they've missed Matty a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they lost a game or something, so like when he started something daft like that. It's quite an impressive
You can
record,
find that
isn't it?
statistic for many players though.
Yeah.
Same with
Mustafi, yeah.
Yeah.
James Milner's never lost a Premier League game in which he scored.
Alright, that was Klopp's first 3 consecutive home defeats as a manager since April 2007 at Mainz. Let's talk about another team who made changes but won this time, and that's Chelsea. They cruised past Brentford, and they did it, I guess, the right way, if you want to argue that changes can be made. And Batshuayi looks like he might be alright if Costa does end up leaving.
Conte's still showing a lack of trust in him, though. If you want to focus on the fact that he didn't play him in the league and the amount of run-outs he gets. But with Chelsea, a lot of their form is based on a set of tactics Conte's familiar with and he's gone back to, and ultimately they don't look as if they have many weaknesses at the moment.
It's interesting that Brentford rested Scott Hogan. Or, like you say, rested, or they didn't play him.
Not certainly relevant if he's not already cup tied though. He could have played in the third round. I don't actually know if he did or not.
Well, he was on the bench.
Third round, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break and then come back and talk about probably the most depressing game of the weekend, which was Man United Wigan. Right, we're back, and now we're going to talk about some Premier League teams who had some big wins. The first of those being Arsenal, who won 5-0 away at Southampton. This was Walcott's 5th hat-trick for Arsenal since May 2015. Southampton's heaviest home FA Cup defeat since 1910. Yeah.
Who was that against?
Man City.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good knowledge on the spot now. Nancy, you're a Southampton fan.
I am.
What went wrong?
Well, to be fair, I mean, we've said about respecting the cup or whatever. I can actually see why he's played that team because, League Cup final is pretty good for us. And I'd rather take going out of the FA Cup and a League Cup final and a good run in the league over trying to compete on too many fronts because I don't think we've quite got the squad for it yet. But at the same time, 5-0 does rather hurt. So potentially should have gone with a few more first teamers in there than he has.
Also, it's not as if Arsenal's squad was the
Exactly,
strongest, either.
Yeah, he
It
hasn't.
felt like two evenly matched
Yeah.
Well,
weakened squads.
I mean, I was quite happy with the performance because we played. I mean, I couldn't. When I saw the lineup, I was like, there actually isn't 3 midfielders in that team. So it was Niles, Chamberlain, and Adelaide. And Adelaide, I don't think he's started a game for us ever. Or if he has, it's been in another cup competition.
Niles played fullback in round 3, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he played right back. Yeah.
He's not a right back.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a centre midfielder. But they all looked pretty competent. Welbeck's back. Walcott's amazing. It's all good.
But he's Danny Welbeck. He'll be out again in 2 months.
Yeah, that is a problem. But
I like well.
what can you do?
All right. Another team who managed a big win was Nathan's Manchester United,
Right.
who beat the lowly Wigan 4-0. So Man United have now scored 4 or more goals in a game 6 times under Mourinho in 36 games, which is 2 more than they did in 103 games with Louis van Gaal. Did you know that, Nathan?
I did not know that, thank you for that.
Now you do. Tell us how you managed.
How I managed it? Well, the first half was... It felt like it was in the spirit of Van Gaal, actually, until was Fellaini scored the first goal? Yeah. So that was quite Van Gaal-esque, actually. I thought Wigan imposed themselves on the game quite well, looked all right, and we were very slow, which wasn't a surprise when it's Schweinsteiger and Fellaini midfield, the two that were slaughtered. Actually, no, it was Schweinsteiger and Carrick that got slaughtered at Arsenal, but it's a slow midfield, and it was never going to be a high-tempo match, but once we got the first, there was a confidence that we had that we're going to go and score a couple in the next half, and that's what we did. A professional performance. A couple of debutants, even though I questioned how fantastic their debuts are, considering we played a goalkeeper for 5 minutes. It's not really like the most momentous occasion if you come on as a goalkeeper for 5 minutes. But still, no, it's fine. It's a good win through to the next round, and hopefully we'll get a good draw. Give Lincoln or Sutton the dream draw.
Fairly routine. Wigan were fairly good for 42 minutes, and then it all fell apart.
Yeah.
Connolly was great, but he's on loan, so that's...
Isn't that the story of Wigan season?
Yeah. Yeah.
But another 4-0 defeat at
the,
Old Trafford, so you just...
Yeah. Well, we're the lowest scorers in the Championship, so we never expected to achieve anything whatsoever.
But Will Grigg was on fire.
Yeah, Will Grigg.
And the south, the south stand of Old Trafford yesterday was actually caught in smoke. There was a fire at Old Trafford yesterday, and obviously it was related apparently to Will Grigg.
Will Grigg.
So the after effects.
Yeah, he showed once again how invisible his flames really are. All right, and other than
Not good enough for the Championship.
No, his peak was not coming off the bench in the Euros.
But he did score a brace against Man United. So.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did. I was there that day at MK Dons.
Wow.
The other
scored the braces in the Premier League now.
Yeah, that's true. The other Manchester team won away at Crystal Palace, and Leroy Sané's now scored in each of his last 3 games in all competitions. They look pretty good, didn't they?
Torre's free kick was lush, quite frankly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Troubling for Crystal Palace.
I don't think they're too bothered about this result.
Sam Allardyce has won
3 FA Cup ties since 2008. I think he's a manager who will always put his priorities
and know where his priorities are and know exactly what he's doing. It can be dour, it can be painful, but
at least their league form's good.
you know what he's going to do.
All right. The last game I want to talk about is Derby-Leicester, which was the only replay of this round, and it was 2-2. Derby are unbeaten at Pride Park since Steve McLaren took charge. 7 wins, 2 draws.
very good defensive record.
Yeah, and Darren Bent has his own good record of 10 in the last 11 FA Cup games. But less.
2 on Friday or 1 on Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a point of contention. Do you want to tell us about this, actually?
Essentially, Darren Bent scored an own goal, which everyone found quite funny, in which attempting a goal line clearance, which he had ample time to judge, either take down or boot away, it sort of just seemed to bounce off the outside of his boot and go into the corner of the net.
Yeah, it was spectacular. Probably the highlight of the game, actually.
Christmas bloopers.
Right, we'll have another break, and then Nicola, when we come back, will tell us about everything else that happened this weekend. We're back again, and Nicola's going to tell us all about the lower leagues to wrap up the show.
This weekend in the West Midlands, Solihull Moors won at home in the National League against Maidstone United. They're now 15th on 37 points. In League One, it was a dramatic game for Walsall as they were 2-0 down away at Bury at half-time before scoring 3 goals in 8 minutes, including a brace from Jason McCarthy, but it wasn't enough as Bury scored an injury-time goal to secure a point. The Saddlers are 12th in the table on 38 points. It was another disappointing weekend for Coventry City, who remain at the foot of the league table. They lost 3-0 away at Northampton Town thanks to a Keshi Henderson hat-trick. However, it was the action off the pitch that was the main talking point, with the players having to leave the field multiple times due to smoke bombs being thrown and pitch invaders in a protest against City's owners. And finally, in the Championship, Birmingham City lost 2-0 away at Norwich, and they're in 12th on 37 points.
All right, thanks a lot, Nicola. And thanks to all my other guests. We'll be back next week with double billing of the Premier League.